don't get paid.
Okay. So let's just give an example. So how do you guys deal with patients that may seem difficult? Because a lot of times with dementia care, they have like forgetfulness. They may become, agitated. Of course, communication is definitely a big thing. It's a huge deficit with dementia patients. So how do you guys, both of you guys can give an example, like how do you deal with difficult patients?
Redirect, offer food,
Okay.
juice, or just sit down and talk to them and see if that would help.
Okay.
Or sit them down and watch TV with them.
Okay.
Sometimes it's just that one-on-one that will calm them down.
Gotcha. Josslyn, anything to add to that?
Really just being patient with them and understanding that you may not fix it at that moment for them, just kind of redirecting them. Like Tandi said, sit down with them, take time with them.
Mm-hmm.
You have to have a lot of compassion to take care of these types of patients and a lot of patience to take care of them. So you just gotta be patient with them.
So for families, like we are all trained professionals. I'm an RN. You guys are both LPNs. Of course, we have the training and experience in order to deal with dementia care. But what advice can you guys give to family members who maybe they're dealing with somebody with an onset, or maybe they're dealing with somebody that, maybe they've had it for a while, but they are having struggle to accept the fact or reality that, hey, my dad is starting to go down and I really don't want to deal with it. But what advice would you give to families who are currently dealing with a loved one who's dealing with dementia right now?
Yeah. And I think with the advice I would give is, instead of trying to have them to go the way that they remember, is to just let them go the way they are. And an example, if I want to carry a load of clothes around,
Right.
let me carry the load of clothes around. Don't try to take them from me, because that causes more agitation
Right.
and anxiety for that person. And a lot of times families don't realize just to leave them be, just to do what they're doing, and
Gotcha.
instead of trying to force them into the right behavior.
I see. So I think families, this also will help too. It takes longer for information to process. A lot of times, just because like they're used to their dad or their mom reacting a certain way or respond a lot faster, it takes information to process a lot slower for dementia patients. So that's something also to consider. I know Josslyn and Tanya both talked about basically patience is such a big thing. So patience, I would give advice to those families as well. Just be patient. I know it's difficult, but definitely be patient. Okay. So I know that when people hear dementia, normally it's a negative term. They think the worst when they hear dementia. But however, what are some good things that you see within your patients on a daily basis? Like maybe, their daughter or granddaughter comes in and you look at them like, oh man, this is not the same person that I knew. But you guys who spend, pretty much the majority of the time with them, you guys also see some of the good things that they do, whether they're telling you guys personal stories or whatever. But what are some things that you guys can say like, hey, like these are the good things that I've noticed about your dad or your mom since you guys take care of them on a daily basis?
Even whenever the family members come to visit and like say they don't remember them, they tend to remember a version of you. So, and they talk about their families all the time, whether they're there or not. So they do love you and they do care. So, and it's a very beautiful thing to see some of them come up and, oh my boy, I just love him so much. He's doing so good. He takes such good care of me. And it's just little things like bringing them things that they like, and they recognize those things. They recognize more than what people believe. Like even down to recognizing us. Like if we have new people on the shift, it's very apparent that these guys understand that this is a new person. Even though they have dementia, they understand because we're used to their routine and they know us. They recognize us.
Anything to piggyback on that, Tandi?
She hit it pretty well.
Okay. So typically, you know, it takes a team to be able to take care of Alzheimer's / dementia patients. Like right now, like you guys are like you're not taking care of them by yourselves, obviously. How important is the team dynamic in terms of, you know, the PCA or CNA or maybe the ACMA, the advanced medication aid and the personal care aid, for those who do not know what those terms are. How important is it to have that team dynamic in order to take care of an Alzheimer's unit or dementia care unit?
Well, it's extremely important. We depend on each other a lot because you never know what kind of behavior someone's going to have. So you have to trust your team for one and rely on them. And we all rely on each other heavily because first of all, it's an emotionally demanding job. Like it can be very trying, it can be very sad. And to have those coworkers, like I have Tandi that I can go to.
Right.
If I'm upset about something, vice versa. And we have our aides that we've come to love, and you have to have that team aspect or you're just not going to have that care. It takes a village to take care of anybody. So whenever you've got 22 plus people, you gotta have that.
They all you have to have respect for everyone that you're working with and knowing that they're gonna do their job. I'm not going to micromanage you. You're gonna have to know how to do your job and
Right.
have respect for you to do that.
I see. So basically, it's not like a micromanaged thing. It takes like a cohesive unit. It's like a well-oiled machine, basically, to make it all work. That's what it sounds like.
And when that machine breaks down,
Right.
then the behaviors, we might have a little bit more issues.
Right.
You have to keep that machine going.
Right.
Everyone working together.
Okay. So let's talk about this a little bit more. So what are some of your best personal stories that you've had to deal with some of your residents or your patients? I'm sure, of course, working on that unit, you probably guys have seen and heard of countless things. It could be good or bad, because dementia is a whole spectrum. But what are some personal stories that you guys have encountered, whether good or bad? Because this right here is a good learning tool for those who are in healthcare and outside of healthcare. If you guys have any stories, any particular guy, maybe some, whatever comes to your mind there, what are some things that you guys can share through some of the people that you've taken care of? I know, right? So go ahead.
I was gonna go back to personal,
Okay.
my own situation.
Can you push that closer to me? Thank
As
you.
a family member.
Sure.
I had a cousin, first cousin,
Right.
him and his wife, I loved. I went and every Sunday we'd go to church. I always got whatever I wanted. And then I got older, a couple of years, I was in my young 20s, and my uncle called me and said that they had found the two wandering. They had both lost it while they was walking, trying to find their home. And they was like 2 blocks away, and they was put into a nursing home. And when I first went, and I was like, oh, hi, and they'd say, who are you? And I was like,
Right.
I'm Tandi. And I said, I'm your cousin.
Right.
Well, and my dad, who died early, and, I'd say, oh, I'm Buck's daughter. Oh, well, how is he? And I would, well, he passed away, and they started with the grief. They started crying, and I was like, oh my goodness, what am I gonna do? For 30 minutes till I could talk about something else. And then the next time I came, it happened again. So I thought, well, okay. So when I showed up the next time, the third time, they asked me, and I said, he told me to tell you hello. He's sorry you couldn't come. Oh, that's so sweet. He sent you. We're trying to find our house. We're trying to find Clara. And I was like, well, we walked around the nursing home a little bit. And then after that, the next time I came, they were still looking for Clara in the house. That their long-term memory, they never forgot that.
That's awesome.
So the nursing home was a circle,
Mm-hmm.
and we had actually a cousin that lived 2 houses from in that circle.
Right.
And so every time I came, and I came like 3 times a week, we'd walk the circle looking for Clara, and then we would stop at her house and have cookies and a drink, and then we continued our circle. And how I get them back in is at supper time. We'd be, it was like a 20, 30 minute, 45, but it probably seemed hours for them. And I would say, there's a restaurant right there. Can we go in and eat?
Right.
And they, are you going to eat with us? Oh, sure. And I said, we'll finish our trek. And so we'd go in and eat. And, of course, sometimes I would go, if they don't remember. And then it got to where we would shuffle down the hallways, and then they don't shuffle no more. Because, they went into, it was like they did it together. It was really interesting.
That is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is interesting. That is. Okay. Hold on, give me 1 second here.
I'm always off
There we go.
track.
We love it.
Oh, it's all good.
I'm always off track, but
Oh no.
that's
No,
the first
that's
thing that would come to my mind.
That's a good story. So just to kind of touch on long-term care, like the long-term memory, it's amazing that I've taken care of many dementia patients, Alzheimer's patients over the years. And I mean, I'm not saying this to be negative, but like they can forget a family member, but they can remember you.
Mm-hmm.
And they may not even remember your name, but as soon as they see you, their eyes light up. Or like, hey, there you are, or there's my girl, or there's my boy, or, it's like they are excited to see us. And, and I think that helps us take care of them. Because yes, it is a challenging job at times, for sure. But when you see the little things that they recognize you or they're excited to see you, it also helps you, man. It gives you that morale boost at times to help get you through your shift. You feel that little bit of appreciation as a caregiver. So I know that for me personally, like that has been a consistent thing that I've seen over the years is that, they recognize me. Well, they don't know my name, but at least they know who I am. Mm-hmm. Josslyn, do you have any stories or anything you could think of, at least off the top of your head there?
One of my favorite things is we affectionately call each other a work family, and this is my work mother.
Okay.
And we have one that particularly, he knows, and I think he genuinely thinks that I'm her daughter, and that another one of our PCAs is her son, because he will come up all the time, where's that daughter of yours? Where's that son of yours?
Right.
That's one of my favorite things, is that he recognizes that. And that's another thing, is he's one that does have extreme behaviors, and we are the few people that can get him to come back and to not have that aggression, and to kind of slow it down and come up there, talk to us, have something to eat, something to drink, and it is. And then we have other ones that recognize us, like there's a really sweet one that he hugs me almost every day. He'll just, whenever I get there, he'll come around there and give me a big old hug, and because he recognizes me and he knows me. And that's one of my favorite things, because you never quit laughing doing this job. You never quit loving. It's a very humorous job too, because some of the things that these men say, like I have so many good memories of like the things that they say.
Right.
I can sit around, I can probably write a book on some of the things that they say and do, and it's great because it shows their personalities that they have throughout their life. You're seeing who they were throughout the entirety of their life, and it's awesome.
Yeah, they do. They say some stuff that you're just like.
I mean, sometimes you see the other side of it. They're like, when they're like, well, Daddy doesn't normally talk like that, or he didn't used to say that, or whatever. I'm like, well.
Not in front of you.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe not in front of you or whatever, but he's definitely open and honest to it now, for sure. And I feel like we just see a side of them that maybe their family didn't see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sometimes in terms of palate too, it's kind of weird. Sometimes like, families come in like, oh, I didn't know Daddy ate that, or I didn't know my mom ate that. And it's like, well, yeah. I mean, you just never know on a daily basis. And then of course the interactions that they have with other residents too. Sometimes, if you have ever been around people that speak a different language, Sometimes it's very confusing. You're wondering what they're saying, whether somebody's talking in
Yeah.
Espanol or whatever. But I feel like there's times where dementia residents have their own language.
They're both completely talking, and you're like, okay, but they both understand, and then off they go.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah.
Yes.
They'll just form their own little language there,
They do.
and they'll form friendships too. I don't think people understand that either. Some people think like, oh, well, they seem like more detached because their disease process is getting worse. But sometimes it's just not the case. A lot of times they will find another buddy while they are in long-term care or a dementia unit or whatever. They will find another buddy, another friend. Sometimes for the better, and sometimes for the worse too.
And it's like someone would say, I'm trying to get out of here. I'm going to get out of here.
Yes.
I'm going to find a place to get out.
Yes.
And the other day we had the guy that goes, I've been trying ever since oh God, that's great. Yes. I've been trying ever since I've been here.
He said it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. I tried. It ain't gonna work. You ain't gonna get out.
Oh man.
It was a good one.
Yes. And you're like, well, yeah, you're right. But that's where we're talking about that long-term memory that they hold on to.
Yes.
He's been there for a long time, so
right.
Like just that little bit of long-term memory.
Yeah.
Is hidden.
He probably can't remember what he had for lunch, but he can remember that he's been trying to get up out of here for quite a long time.
It ain't gonna work. Trying to leave. It ain't gonna work.
He's like, breakfast. I don't know about that, but I can remember last time I tried to get up out of here.
So that's where where maybe someone from the outside don't see that humor.
Yeah, right.
Where you're absolutely right.
Yes.
Where we see humor in a totally different way than what others see.
Right. And that's the other thing too. So just for clarification, we are not laughing at the fact that maybe they actually want to go home or whatever. We're just talking about the fact that we've been with them, we spent time with them, and it's just like an ironic thing that occurs. Like I just said, they may not remember the fact that they had breakfast or who they last talked to, but they can dang sure remember that they tried to get up out of here maybe 3 or 4 months ago or maybe a year ago. So it's just ironic in that sense. We're laughing at so much the irony for those who may not be within healthcare who happen to see this. So, and they're still awesome people. I think a lot of people think like, oh man, I don't recognize this person anymore, or it makes me sad to see them this way. But if you actually sit down and actually talk about things that happened a long time ago, you'd be very surprised. That long-term memory really does stay intact for the most part. So that's some advice for families out there who happen to be listening to this. Bring up some old memories. If you just took your loved one out for lunch maybe a week ago, they may not remember it. Or you had a conversation, you updated them about a family event that just occurred, they may not remember it. But maybe bring up that birthday or their special trip that they took on, or maybe a special anniversary. There's different things like that can trigger the long-term memory, and you'd be surprised. You can watch their faces light up and come alive as they talk about, the things that they used to do or their past profession. You'd be really surprised. We've taken care of all kind of people, from policemen to wrestlers, to teachers, deacons, preachers. You'd be surprised. People that have done radio or podcasting, and we've taken care of all kind of amazing people who have amazing stories. So when you look at your loved one, don't look at them in their current state and be depressed. Appreciate for who they are. They're still alive, okay? And for those who are in the care that they are in, those people are there to give them the very best care that they possibly can. So I want you guys to remember that well for those who happen to be listening today. So I mean, that's the amazing thing about being in the field that we're in. I mean, yes, I know a lot of time it can be very thankless and a lot of times unappreciated and underpaid, but we do take care of amazing people. And it takes special people to be able to take care of those who have had memory loss and other things going on with them as well. I don't know about you guys, but I've been privileged to be able to take care of all these people who have had all these things in their lives. You know, like we talked about before, you know, veterans included. Um, it's just a privilege and honor to be able to deal with it. But just to recap real quick, we've talked about personal stories. We have talked about things that we have noticed, the good things about dementia care. We've talked about stuff that happens on a daily shift. We have talked about, you know, what is dementia, and we talked about we've given advice for families. I want to touch on one thing too. Have you guys like seen like caregiver burnout before? Have you guys ever seen that, experienced that? Like, can you guys relate to that at all, or have seen it?
That's kind of where teamwork comes into effect and why you have to have an effective team, because you see other aides start or other nurses start to get burnout, or they're dealing with this one particular patient who's very extreme or hard to take care of, and that's where you have to trust in your team to say, hey, I can't deal with this right now. Like, I'm trying, and I've been trying. Is there any way that you can step in for me? You know, they're being very aggressive with me and things like that. You have to understand that you have your own emotions, and that's totally okay. Be okay with stepping back and trusting in your team to come forward and take care of you, so you don't get that burnout and you don't get into emotional turmoil of any kind.
Yeah. What about you, Tandi? What do you think about that?
Yeah, it happens. I mean, I think when I did hospice for a long period of time as an aide and as a nurse, and I think at the end I was burned out from it. You know, that's the reason why I went to another field, because once you've dealt with so much of, you know, the dying process,
Yes.
After so long of it, you get burned out with it, and you need to back up when you're burned out and go a different direction in the field. It's not like you're burnt out.
Yeah,
as the
per se.
profession,
Right.
but burnt out at that point of that job.
Right. So my advice for sure, if you are within nursing, let me specify that first. Within nursing, if you're experiencing a type of burnout, especially from dealing with dementia care, switch. You know, I'm not saying switch professions, but if you're like, let's say that your building has units, you might want to change units. Okay, talk to your manager about changing units. If that is not an option for you, I would say try something else. You know, there's a lot of different avenues within healthcare, a lot of different avenues that you maybe not even thought about yet. And you may need to step away from that dementia care or Alzheimer's care for a while, and then come back to it another time. But just seek out other avenues. And my other advice too, this is for nursing and non-nursing, there's counseling. Seek counseling. Okay, there's nothing wrong with seeking mental health help. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Seek out your local counselor if you can. I mean, of course, if you can vent to your friends or people you trust, that's cool too. But just, you know, make sure that you're not alone. Okay, this is a lot to deal with. I want you, if you're listening, you're never alone. There's always somebody you can reach out to and talk to. But for those, but also people who are non-nursing, if you're experiencing caregiver burnout at home, like you're trying to just deal with dementia care at home, then there's avenues that you can go. You know, we're talking about home health. People have got invested in sitters, but there's also nursing home, assisted living. Like, don't sit there and feel like you have to do it by yourself. Okay, I don't want you to do any more harm to yourself and or the family member that you're trying to take care of. So if you are out there and you're experiencing caregiver burnout, be sure to seek help. Okay, so this has been a great interview with Tandi and Josslyn. Hopefully this will be the first of many, not just with other people, but with them as well. I've worked with them for a while now, and they're great. I'm proud of what they have done and accomplished, and they're going to continue to do great things within healthcare. If you want to watch more of this or listen to more of this, The channel is Wakanda RN, and I will have more information available when it comes available. But for now, I appreciate you guys tuning in, and we love you guys, and we are out. It's good, y'all. It's your boy Wakanda RN. If you like the content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Okay? I really appreciate any feedback. I appreciate the love. If you continue to enjoy the content, hey, be sure there's more coming.